Yeah, Mario, it's Jeff. Just saw your post about Spanish and universal Spanish, international Spanish. What do you want to call this? Latin Spanish and all that, and the fact that there are some university academic university folks that have disdain, even colleagues have disdain about this universal Spanish, which it's just had different names over the years depending on which publication you read. And this thing has existed for a long time. I mean, there are a lot of people, a lot of there are language service providers that say we offer LATAM Spanish, and I mean, this has been written in so much stuff that it's just the people that have disdain for it just have no idea of how to do business. You have it, and this has existed in other language. I mean, look for Arabic. Arabic has the same situation. Arabic, there are so many. Arabic is highly dialectalized. So, and I used to work on, I used to work on, well, I have worked on translation, automatic translation systems for like 30 years, and so one of the things we're doing in Arabic was the toughest things. Which version of Arabic, which flavor of Arabic do we work on? So that was the biggest question. And what you end up coming down to is we're going to take middle standard Arabic, and it's MSA. And you know what? It doesn't exist either as a native language. It's an invented thing for radio and TV because you got to be able to communicate to people. It's just a means of communication. It's like a trade language, if you want. It's an adapted trade language. I don't want to call it trade language, but it's a variety. It's an adapted variety to be able to do the massive communication to all the people. And like Creole language, I work in Creole language. Same thing, Yeah, I have each language, its island has its own Creole, but there is everybody kind of understands each other. You just have a couple different words here and there, and I was speaking in Saint Lucian Creole. Okay, so just today, I spoke in Saint Lucian Creole to one person in one place. Okay, and she didn't know that I had done Saint Lucian Creole. She was totally amazed. And then I spoke in Martinican Creole to other Martinicans later, and I use Haitian Creole, and I get all three different versions. Okay, so in one day, and that's kind of exception. I just don't get this opportunity, but the way you do this, and I know Mauritians and people from Reunion and Seychelles from the Seychelles and all this stuff, and so everybody can understand each other by just using a version that they all know that the certain words mean certain things. Like in Haitian Creole, you'd say "ap," and in the other language, you say "ka." It doesn't matter. They all kind of know. They just know how to communicate. So this is this kind of universal Caribbean French Creole language, and this is kind of people just do it. They just do it. It's not so visible because it's not a money making machine. So that's why it's not so visible. But I kind of work on this stuff and do it, and I've always suggested we kind of do something generic, a generic version. But the same thing for Latin, for Spanish. I mean, Latin America, South America, Central America, like all the Americas, underneath the North American border, or whatever you want to call it. And not going to North America, because you actually do have Central America in the middle of North America, so whatever. But you know what I mean. Um, but this has existed for like 20, 25 years. I mean, there's so much written about it. I mean, people offer it. It's a service. If you don't like it, the people that don't like it, well, just shut up. Just shut up. If you know how to do it, then don't do it. Let other people do it, and offer it. And yes, it does handle the different varieties. And this is like what happens when you. I did a study dialectology. This is just what you do. I mean, go watch. I did a video on what is a language. I have made a specific video called "What is a Language," and I talked about all these different levels and registers of varieties. I did a specific video just on this topic, and so this is just another example of what do you do when you've got these varieties happening across an entire continent. That's one example. Yeah, continent. I mean, you think of all the different varieties of Spanish going from, Mexico. Even let's talk about Spanish in the United States and all the varieties there and all that as a second language, or whatever you want to call it. I don't want to call it second language. It's a native language of a lot of people in all the southern states. Hey, go to Texas. I could I spend, every evening in like a conference for a week, going out and eating in Spanish, Mexican restaurants, speaking Spanish all the time. My family's like when I go visit the States and see family, and we go to a Mexican restaurant, they're all embarrassed because I'm speaking Spanish to the people in the restaurant. They say, "Shut up," and I say, "Hey, I'm the one that I'm the board of the food. Okay, let me do it. Just let me handle it, and they'll make the waiter feel happy. So I tell my family to kind of shut up too. Just that's it just, there, if you don't know the language, then shut up. So, you got to be careful of that. But I mean, so it's this whole from the states, southern states, bordering states, all the states have, English only movement because they got other, you got a lot. It's actually, it's an official language, and there's three official languages actually in Florida: Spanish, Haitian Creole, and English. So, you got Mexico down to Central America. South America, okay, got a Portuguese speaking territory in there too, in the middle of it, and a couple other languages there too. But it's all just the spectrum. It's a whole continuum. It's a continuum of different dialects, and there is no right dialect. It's just even Spanish in Spain isn't the right dialect. It's just a dialect among other dialects. So it's just a whole continuum, and I talked about that in that What is a Language video on my YouTube. Um, but the same thing happens from Arabic. You got all these versions of Arabic, and then which one you want to do and you want to make it. So this is it's just do it. And like I remember when I was at Transperfect, and we had a case of I think at the Hummer we had 17 different versions of the websites for Hummer vehicles because they're like high end vehicles, and so you want to make different websites per country for that super expensive vehicle. So all kind of localized translations for that, for little specific vocabulary about the things. So this is just people that don't do it, don't do it, and that's all. And people that do it, they do it, and they do well at it. And you just do what you need to make communication happen. It's just adapting language. I mean, people that just I just can't believe that. It's this whole thing is again, what is language? Watch the video, and I define it 5 different ways depending who you're talking to. It's all about perspective. So they got a perspective that people have disdain because they just don't get it in some things. And then the people that are doing it get it and do it and offer a service around it. Hey, everybody gets different strokes for different folks. So that's what it is. So that's my thoughts on that today.